Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? If you're coming in, say hello. Tonight's project, I am going to do a t-shirt with Chalk Couture's ink. Chalk Couture not only has chalk, but they also have permanent ink. When it's heat set, it becomes permanent. My name's Kathy, and I am an independent designer for Chalk Couture, and I have a website, and it's posted in the comments or in the description above, where you can get special deals on some things that I have in that Facebook page. You cannot currently be a designer though to visit that page, so check it out. So tonight what we're going to use is some Chalk Couture ink, and I have the Candy Apple red, and I have Black Velvet. So what you're going to need is either a Cricut Easy Press to make the ink permanent. You're going to need some parchment paper. Of course, you'll need a t-shirt or some kind of fabric that you want to put this design on. You will need your squeegees. And Chalk Couture does sell the ink mats. You don't have to have an ink mat to use the inks, but it makes your project a whole lot easier, and it helps with less goof ups. So I have my t-shirt, and it's just one by Glidden, and it is 90% cotton and 10% polyester, but I don't think that really matters what type of material that you use, but cotton is the best. The transfer that we're going to be using is the Country Girl, and I am making this for my niece. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to take my ink mat from its protective plastic, and it also has a protective plastic over the top, and it is sticky. And what it does is it helps hold your fabric still while you're applying your ink. So I'm going to put this inside. Just like this. And make sure I have the front towards me. And then I kind of just fold my ink mat over and place it in, and then just let it open up. And we're going to try to get this as centered as we can. And I think the rule of thumb on how to place, where to place your transfer is about 3 inches from the collar. And I had made one of these already, so my transfer is stained, but that's okay. Staining is okay. It still works just fine. So I'm going to take my transfer from my packaging, and I've already wrote on the back, and it says Country Girl, and that just kind of tells me which side, when I clean my transfer, which side the transfer goes back on. These are reusable. Once you use them, you put them in a water bath, or you can wash them with just water right away, or you can use a Clorox wipe. If you're just join us, just say hello so I know you're there. And I like to do kind of things kind of sideways. If you do it, you know, the perpendicular way and it's kind of hard to get it straight and even. So I kind of like to put my things on an angle. That way it's more pleasing to the eye. It's already crooked, so it looks like it's meant to be that way. If you want it straight and it's off a little bit, then it kind of throws your eye off. And I also clip my corner of my transfer before I take it off, and that way it gives me like an indicator on this is the bottom and this is the bottom of my transfer, to where I can put it back on my backer sheet easier. Plus, when you rub your finger over it, it kind of helps you take your transfer off your backer sheet. And I always take my backer sheet off of the transfer instead of the transfer off the backer. That way when it flips, it won't flip back onto itself. So we're going to flip it over, and you want to do about 3 inches from the collar. That is just a rule that I read somewhere, don't know where, about making t-shirts. And then I kind of want to eyeball it and make sure I have the same distance from the arms. And I think I do want to bring this down just a little bit. So after I get my placement, I'm going to smooth it and make sure there's no wrinkles under my transfer. Just smooth it out really well, because you want, when you're working with ink, you want to make sure that your transfer is completely sealed, so you don't get any bleed through. Which bleed through means, like say this T right here, it gets under the transfer and makes a big blob. So you want to make sure that your transfer is real sealed on your t-shirt, so you get a good image. So I think we're going to do the windmill in red and do Country Girl in black. Like I said, when we get the ink on and take our transfer off, we're going to dry it. You can dry it with a hair dryer, or I have an embossing tool. I use my embossing tool to dry, and then you're going to heat set it with either an iron, and when you use a regular household iron that you iron your clothes with, you're going to do it on a cotton setting at for 4 minutes on the design side, and then you're going to flip it over and do it 4 minutes on the back side. But I have an easy press. I got one for Christmas, not this year, but last year, and I love it. It's really easy. You do 30 seconds on your design side, 30 seconds on the opposite side, and it makes it go by really, really fast. Now, one thing that I learned from the last time that I did this transfer on a shirt is the lighting is a little bad, but right here where the T is really close to this windmill, and the G is really close to the windmill. So I'm going to block it out with some transfer tape so I don't accidentally mix my colors. And then right before I do my black, I'll pull this up. That way my colors don't mix. Now the inks come ready to go. Like I said, I used this last night, so I won't have to stir it up. But they are ready to go. So all you have to do is take your ink and put it on a squeegee. And I have some in the cap, so I'm going to just use it out of the cap. And I start off the transfer area and just pull down. And I do a light hand at first just to get it all spread on here. And then I go back and do a firmer hand to make sure I get all the areas covered. So we got some snow today, but it's kind of a little disappointing. It wasn't a very good snow. We usually get some really good snows here in North Carolina, in my part of the woods, but we kind of got so far we've been a little shafted on the snow. We like a good snow day. Did get out of work early though, which was fun. So I'm just applying my ink, making sure all my areas are covered. Now what I'm going to do is just do a little firmer hand and go through kind of several directions and make sure it looks really good. With inks, you've got a little bit of working time. You don't, like with chalk, you don't have to worry about it drying because it does take some kind of time to dry or mechanical means to dry. So again, I'm just going over and I'm going to remove my excess and place it back in the jar. Then I'm going to look at it real close and make sure I've got all the areas that I want red covered. And the last shirt I did up on one of these windmill blades, I missed a spot. And you can go back with a paintbrush and fill those areas in. So I'm going to remove my transfer tape. Try not to get it on your hands. It's always a good idea to have a disinfectant wipe nearby to clean your hands so you don't get ink on your shirt because it's permanent. It won't come off. I did use a Tide pen and was able to get a boo-boo off pretty good, but you have to be really quick. So again, I'm just applying my black velvet ink, being careful not to get into my red, and mix my colors. Doing lightly right now, then I'll go back and do a little bit firmer pressure after I get my ink where I need it to be. And going over it again, making sure it's all covered, and inspect it real good, because the cotton will drink up some of the ink, and you want to make sure you got really good coverage. So it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to remove my transfer, and I'm going to do it really slowly. That way if I need to lay it back down, I can, and add more ink if I need to. And try not to drag your transfer over your shirt. And there we go. Looks good. Looks like I got pretty good coverage with my transfer. So the next thing I'm going to do is very carefully take my ink mat out. Try not to, because this ink is still wet, try not to get that ink on any part of the t-shirt. It's really sticky, that mat is. So there we go. I'm going to lay my ink mat to the side, and I'm going to take my embossing tool and just pre-dry this design. I'm going to cut my Cricut Easy Press on and let it get warm. So pardon the noise. As we dry this a little bit. And you can kind of tell when it's dry is the ink, when it's wet, is a shiny color. And when it's dry, it dulls a little bit. And I had another idea for this transfer. You know, a lot of people stereotype country girl as someone down towards the south or whatever, but I don't have the dark blue, I think it's called Cadet. I don't have the Cadet ink. So I think the next order I place with Chalk Couture, I'm going to order the Cadet blue ink, and I'm going to make it red, white, and blue and kind of split it. And so it puts a new meaning on country. It'll be red, white, and blue, and country meaning as our country, United States. And do one that way. That way, you know, someone who doesn't live down in the South. And it would be a good shirt for 4th of July. It'll be a 4th of July themed shirt. So after I dry it a little bit, check to make sure it's tacky. And if it's still a little tacky, it still needs a little bit more drying. The black is dry. The red is still a little tacky, but it's almost ready. And see, I don't have any on my hand, so it's pretty much ready. So I'm gonna get my Cricut Easy Press mat, and it's just kind of like an ironing board mat, and I'm gonna place my shirt on top of it. And get my parchment paper, and you're going to lay it down. This just keeps the ink, if it is wet, keeps the ink off your iron or your Easy Press. So I've got it at 320 for 30 seconds. And I'm just going to move it around a little bit. And this part you want to be careful too. If you skid your parchment paper over your ink project and it's still wet, it could blurry it or smear it. So you want to be just use a light hand, and basically what you're doing is you're just heat setting it. You're not ironing it, you're heat setting it. And I don't know why it beeps and tells me it's been 30 seconds, but I always do it a little bit longer. Just extra insurance, I guess. And after this is heat set, we can throw it in the washing machine, we can throw it in the dryer, and this design will continue to stay on the shirt. So there we have it. We have us a country girl t-shirt, and I am going to mail this to my niece, and hopefully she'll enjoy it. You can, the other shirts that I have made, I have taken scissors and cut out the collar and rolled the sleeves up and tacked them, and at the bottom you can cut the side up a little bit and make a tie. So it doesn't have to be a just a plain old t-shirt. You can dress it up a little bit with some scissors and some ties, and you've got a perfect t-shirt. So there you go. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I hope y'all have a great Friday, and I will see y'all next Thursday. If you have any questions, comment below and I'll get with you. Thanks. Bye.